I don't know. I would say what's the thing in Romania would take everywhere. As I think everybody else, I don't know. But for me, it is the humor. I think it will make me everywhere because that helps me survive. A humor that it's very different than many countries. And the stories, of course, that I would like to share about Romania. Unfortunately, many people have a misconception about Romania. So I'm trying to tell the good part of Romania, and that's what I'm trying to take and to share, not just the bad and why Romanians leave Romania or what, this kind of stuff. I also try to tell them that it can be also good and nice. Well, I grew up in a family that has nothing to do with art, but somehow I discovered through my books artists, and it was very special to me to have the possibility of living by creating stuff. So since I'm a kid, since kindergarten, since I remember, this is the only thing I wanted to do, and I did it since then. And yeah, I studied it, and this is the only thing I know to do. So I did art high school in Cluj, in Romania, and then I did art university in Cluj, and then the master degree in Cluj, and now I'm doing a PhD because I'm also very interested in the research part of the arts. More so, I would like also to work as a curator maybe in the future more than I'm doing it now. Everything is influenced. Even what I'm doing about other cities somehow comes from my research in Bulea. And everything started talking about the city actually, because when I was 19 I had cancer, and then for me a way to escape and to get over that, it was through my art. But that meant for me to make a research why did that happen to me, but not in a scientific way, but more a playful way. So for me it was basically, I lived in the most polluted city in the area, so there must be from there. So then I was more and more interested to explore that and tell the stories of this. So Turda offered me the hardest experiences, I would say, but at the same time made me do this art and tell some stories about it. While I lived in Romania, I lived between this very industrialized city in a neighborhood that it's just communist architecture, just factories, and then my summer times would be in the Carpathian Mountains in my grandmother's village. And I grew up in both these places, and I love both places because in the city it was my daily life with my friends. In the countryside it was my mom taking me picking up mushrooms and flowers in the forest. And then I started to be interested in nature in urban space and how easy is that. And most of the city, doesn't matter how many parks there are, they're polluted. And I tried to tell the stories of this part, of these forests around the factories, which might have flowers, but they're not good to be picked up to make tea, for example. So everything actually started with work I did, I think it was 2017. And it is about, that work it is about the gardens around the cement factory in my hometown Turda. And there was so much cement expelled in the air that when it rained, the fruits and vegetables were getting cemented. So they were grey. So then I took that as a metaphor of how nature is actually in the urban space, because even if maybe it's not cemented, it's covered with what the cars are expelling in the air, or the nearest factory, whatever. So I took the grey as a metaphor for how I think they are somehow poisonous, somehow not eatable, somehow not fresh. Mm-hmm. And grey, it's not fresh. long time. I even had an exhibition that was called #A0A0A0, which is great on the computer, whatever. So it's coming a time that I have to go further and to leave this metaphor behind me. I explored it as much as I could, and I said, okay, I would like to bring this also in Berlin. Because in Berlin, when I had an exhibition, it was about something else. And I said, okay, I would like to bring it here too, because as I told you, I see many similarities when it comes to architecture and so, and also the gardens and whatever. So that was the main reasoning. And also Berlin is, in my opinion, is not a beautiful city when you think about architecture. It's very mixed, it's a lot, you have beautiful places, but most of it is quite grey. And especially in the winter, the winters in Berlin are, for me, the worst. So this winter I was here and everything was grey around me. And I said, okay, I mean, that's the story I have to tell. Well, the first time when I arrived into Berlin, it was, I think, 13, 14 years ago. And it was by pure mistake because I didn't have money to take a flight back to, I was in Germany, I didn't have money to take a flight back to Romania. And the cheapest way to get back, it was through Berlin. So I said I'm going to stay 2 or 3 days here and then I will go to Romania. But I left after 2 weeks and I fell in love with the city. So 1 year later I moved here with Erasmus, and I'm on and off in Berlin since maybe now 12 years. All of my works are about urban life, about the nature in the urban life, about different social topics, but these particular ones are made in Berlin with materials I found on the streets of Berlin, stories from Berlin. So I was interested to explore the neighborhoods, and I'm much more interested in neighborhoods like Marzahn or Lichtenberg, which remind me of Romania. So wherever I go, wherever I'm traveling, I'm trying to find some similarities, at least in architecture, with the place I'm coming from. So yeah, this is all about Berlin. It's more about the East Berlin, and the architecture is very similar with what we have in Romania. And in some neighborhoods I literally feel I'm at home, and not just because of that, but also because of the people and the mentality you can find. It can be a little bit quite similar. It's a city that lived through communists, so I can relate to some stuff that I can see here. I started with the fact that I didn't really have money to buy materials when I was younger in art. And then the only choice for me was to find the materials. So I literally looked in the garbage to things that I can work with. And when I'm doing a new project, it takes me weeks to go on the streets and find the things that I need for my works. And it's luck, something that would be there, that I think, oh, I can use it and do something out of that. It always depends. In a night coming from a club, I might see something on the street, so I will take it, or going to the grocery shop, I will just see something. One of the works here is actually made on an IKEA table that I found on the street. So yeah, I like the idea of recycling. In the beginning, it was I had to do it because I didn't really have the money to buy the materials. Now I also see it as a form of recycling, because many of the works, even in this exhibition, I destroyed them after the exhibition. I don't have a studio. I don't like having a studio. I'm doing the works where I am. Most of them are site specific. So because I have to destroy them, I'm trying to work with too much because they already exist. I can recycle them so I don't feel bad. So this work is called Lichtenberg. I really like to go there and walk around and take photos of the buildings and just, I don't know, trying to find a little bit more history of the place. And I also spent a lot of time in the parks there, just to read or relax. And as I told you, I like to find objects on the street, but if I'm going to find an object in Lichtenberg, which is this square, I would like to tell the story of that place. And there is a lot of this communist block of flats that they are very, I don't know, geometrical, very without personality. And the square is actually an IKEA table that I found in Lichtenberg. And I said, okay, this is going to be the perfect surface. I can make a work about the neighborhood and bring a little bit of that, or at least how I understood that neighborhood is. And okay, it's a lot of parks and a lot of, but I'm coming back to the winter when it's totally dead and grey. So also the whole plants that you see here are taken from some parks in Lichtenberg. So everything it's taken from there, and somehow I bring the memory of the neighborhood, but through my own vision. Right at this moment, I have another exhibition in Rotterdam, which is a charity exhibition for Ukraine. I have an exhibition in Bucharest. I'm gonna have an exhibition for the Gay Pride in Timișoara, organized by Eugen Rădescu. Then, at the end of the month, I'm gonna have another exhibition in Berlin at the Ritram Gallery, organized for the 48-hour Neukölln Festival. And from September, I'm gonna move to Paris. I got a residency there from the European Bank, where I'm gonna stay 3 months, and I will work on a project about home, the concept of home, and what home means for different people from different categories, refugees or people that lived there their whole life, or immigrants. So it's going to be more research-based than really producing a lot of work. So for now, I think this will be my project, at least what I remember.